Alright, Shalom Aleichem Rabbi side. This is the week of the Siyam Hashas. And we were just there at the Siyam Hashas. A few days ago was Tisha B'Av. And Siyam Hashas. Almost 100,000 people were at the Siyam Hashas. This week's Parshas Vaeschanan. And what a experience that was. Almost 100,000 people saying Amen, Yehei Shmei Rabbo, and Shema, and at the end, Hashem Hu Elokim, Shema Yisrael, and Mariv. There was 6-7 minutes of total silence, where 100,000 people didn't say a word. What a Kiddush Hashem that was. The greatest bracha that came upon Klal Yisrael was in 1923, when Rabbi Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik Kodesh L'Bracha, thought about the concept of Daf Yomi has Ma'ached Kol Klal Yisrael. And there's speeches there were out of this world, and I'm sure anyone listening to me will never forget the Musar and the Chizuk of Rabbi Fran's speech. That was out of this world, the best he ever did. 100,000 people. And there I was waiting in the parking lot at the end, waiting to get their car to pick me up, to take me home. And I was standing next to a man who was helping his old father into a car. And he said to me, "Are you Rabbi Schwab?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, I listened to you on TorahAnytime.com. I said, "Yeah." "Where are you from, New York?" "No, I'm the chief rabbi of the Ukraine. Lviv, Ukraine." He gave me his card, so you see, they do listen to me in Ukraine. Rabbi Mordechai Shlomo Bold, chief rabbi of Lviv and region. In Ukraine, they even listen to this. He says, "I know you have that Luchos over there, and the Parsha name over there, and the break front and the back." I said, "That's right, that's how I do it." So, Baruch Hashem, it's getting around. Torah is getting around. When they started, 1923, 1931 was the first Siyum. A few hundred people. And then there was a few thousand, and then 5,000, and then 20,000 in America, and then 50,000, then 90,000. Now we have 95,000. Can you imagine what means the experiment, the thought of Rabbi Meir Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik Kodesh L'Bracha, became the biggest thing in the world? So as Chaim said about him, if some people learn certain Masechtas in their life, certain Masechtas they never learn, when you go to Olam Haba, all the Masechtas will come out and greet you. Daf Hayomi. Every single person all over the world learns the exact same Daf. Now, Meir Shapiro got the idea of Daf Hayomi when he was looking at a Gemara that said that somebody, a Tana, was looking in the water and he saw a ship that Rabbi Akiva was on, and the ship sunk, and he hoped Rabbi Akiva saved himself. He doesn't know. Then he found Rabbi Akiva. He said, "How did you save yourself?" "Well, I fell in the water, the boat capsized, and I saw a plank, a piece of wood from the boat float toward me, and I grabbed a hold of it. I saw a plank of wood from the boat. That plank of wood, he was called the daf." He says, "And every time a wave came over me, I put my head down toward the daf, and I let the water pass over me." Water is Torah. Submit yourself to the daf. That's what he's trying to say. So Rabbi Shapiro got the idea that we should hold on together, all of us, to the daf Hayomi, the daily daf. Yiddish we call that a blot. In English it means a leaf has two sides. Now let's learn a little bit Vaeschanan. I prayed to the God at that time, saying, he had just Moshe defeated Og and Sichon, and he thought maybe God is showing him some good graces. Maybe he'll let him go across the river and rescind the curse against him, the decree against him. He davened 515 tefillos, because Vaeschanan is 515. And Hashem said no. You're not going to do it. It says, "Vaeschanan el Hashem ve'ezahi leimor." Leimor means to say over. Who's Hashem going to tell it to? Vaeschanan el Hashem ve'ezahi leimor. When Hashem speaks to Moshe, he says, tell her over to Klal Yisrael. Yidaber Hashem Moshe le'emar, tell her over to Klal Yisrael. Who is Moshe telling Hashem to tell it over to? Vaeschanan el Hashem ba'iseh le'emar. So Rashi says there's 3 times that Moshe demanded of Hashem an answer. Le'emar, tell me an answer right away. I want to have an answer right away. 3 times. By Yitzhak Moshe el Hashem Lemor, about his sister, he cried out Moshe to Hashem and said, Lemor, tell me right now an answer. Rafah no lo, Kael no Rafah no lo. I want her to be healed. Wait just a second. Rashi says, Yitzhak Moshe el Hashem, and he said to Hashem, please, Lemor, tell me if you're going to heal her or not. Only very few people can demand from Hashem immediately response. The second time, Lemor, please, if you told me I happen to die, please tell me right now who's taking over. Lemor, tell me who's taking over. So it was Yeshua. And the third time, La'avor se Yarden hazeh, I want to go over this Yarden right now. Tell me if I'm going to make it or not. 3 times he asked Hashem, I want an answer right away. That's one right is here. Right, this is the one here. I want to know if I'm going to make it. Because I just defeated Ogun and Sichon. Maybe you change your mind. Hashem said, no, didn't change my mind. Let's look at Daled Yud Beis. Look at this pasuk Daled Yud Beis. Look what it says in Vaeschanan. Yedaber Hashem aleim betocho eish. He spoke to them from the middle of the fire. Kol devorim atem shomim. The voice of the words, you hear. Utemunam einam roim, but you'd see no picture. Zulasi kol, only a voice. Well, you said voice twice already. Why do you say it? V'yedaber Hashem aleichem. God spoke to you. Moshe is reviewing it. V'tocho eish, from the fire, a voice came out. Kol devorim, the sound of these words, Seres Hadibros. Atem shomim, you heard. Yitmuna einicham roim, but you don't see a picture. Only a voice. We said that. On my side, we're going to teach you a gigantic little secret. They saw the voice. Roim esakolos, they saw the sounds. And they heard. They saw the sounds, and they heard. What is that? They saw the sounds. They saw the sounds. Interesting. Nowadays, on a scope, you can see people's voices go up and down, right? In those days, they saw Hashem's voice, the words, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Interesting. They saw the sounds. That's what it says. Zulosikol, that's the only thing you saw. You didn't see any other picture. Only that you saw the sounds of the voice. You saw the sounds. You didn't see anything but the sounds. Then the Mayan Beis Sheva says, hey, Dalet, hey, look at this. Panim b'fanim, face to face. Diba Hashem imachem, God spoke to you. Bahar, on the mountain, b'socha eish, with the middle of the fire. Anochi omeid bein Hashem v'beinechem, God, I stood between you and between Hashem. Well, you see, at that time, l'hagil lechem, to tell you, as the Bar Hashem, what God told me. He erased them because you were afraid. Because of the fire. Below Alisa was a heart. You didn't go up the mountain because you're afraid of the fire. Now the Mayan Beis Sheva said there is a contradiction. It says Panim b'fanim, face to face, Diba Hashem imochem, Bahar b'tocha eish, and then it says a contradiction. Anochi omei bein Hashem v'beinechem, I stood between you and God. So it wasn't Panim b'fanim. Says the Mayan Beis Sheva. You heard Hashem's voice, Panim b'fanim, Diba Hashem imochem. But when he told me, go down and warn them not to attack, charge the mountain, because out of ecstasy they're going to want to touch the mountain, get close to the Shekhinah, and they're going to die. Hashem doesn't want any fanaticism, extremism. He wants self-control. When he sent Moshe, Moshe said, you don't have to. You warned him already. He says, no, go down again. Go down again because they're going to break in a panic. The ecstasy will be so tremendous, like it says in Medrash, we want to see our God, even if we die in the process. The experience is so exotic that we'll do that. Hashem says, oh, I want you to know, Judaism is not fanaticism or extremism, it's only halacha, what you're told to do. So when Moshe was down again, he caught Moshe off guard. And then when Moshe was down, he said, to drive home the point that Moshe is not part of the transmission. Moshe and the Yisrael is part of the reception. Now we understand now. Panim befonim, Dib Hashem imochem b'har, spoke to you face to face. But I was down there, Anochi Omi the Bnei Hashem B'nechem, he caught me off guard, B'esa he lagid, Hagid to tell you, it's the Hashem, that he just wants you to rush the mountain. And you didn't go up the mountain because it was a command. You didn't go up the mountain because you were afraid of the fire. That's how the Mayan explains this. I can make it much longer, that's good enough. Look at this. Hey Tezvov. Tov. Oh, it says here. Chabid is avicha, it says in the Sefer Sadibus. Chabid is avicha v'esimecha. Honor your father and your mother. You know, I told you way back. Es avicha, even your father. Of course, it means your mother. It says limecha. Why say es? Es is always l'rabos, to add something. Kabit es avicha, even she's not your mother, your stepmother. Ve'esimecha, and your mother, your stepfather, or your older brother. Kashet tzivcha Hashem l'chel, God commanded you. L'man yavichan yemecha, in order that you live a long life. L'man yita b'lochi, be good for you, al hadama, on this earth. So the Gemara says, Baba Kama, Nun dalad on Mebei, Shol Rabbi Chanina ben Agil, as Rabbi Chio bar Abba b'neima b'dibros Rishonos lo nemra b'hen tov. How come in the first luchos it doesn't say the man yitab loch? It doesn't say that. B'dibros achronos nemra b'hen tov. It says the concept of tov. Man yitov. So Omer lo asha sholani lama nemra b'hen tov. Before you ask me, Hashem said, if it says tov, take a look if it says tov. Obviously, he doesn't say tov. It says right here. Man be good for you on the Adama. He said, before you ask me why the first Luchos doesn't have the word the man yitab, and the second one does, he says, why don't you take a look at the second one if it does in the first place? Obviously it does not. So why does it say here? It says in the Mayim, we're learning Sefer Devarim. The Sefer Devarim is a Perish on the rest of the Torah. The way the Luchos were is exactly like the first Luchos, not like these Luchos. This Luchos is a review, a parish, and an explanation of what's in the first Luchos. What's on the Luchos was exactly what it was on the first time Hashem said Enoch twice in Yisrael. And the second Luchos is exactly what it was in Yisrael. Here's only giving a parish, because the whole Sefer Devarim is a parish. Doesn't say there at all the Man Yitab Loch. That's a parish. Like the Sefer Devarim is a parish. The second Luchos, it says in the Torah, 17 extra words, but that's not what it says in the first Luchos. The first Luchos, by the way, has 172 words. You know why? Because the first Jew kept it for 172 years. Abraham was 175, and he discovered Hashem at 3, so therefore it was 172 years. And it has 620 letters, because that represents the 613 mitzvahs with the 7 mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. Then it said, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Ekeinu, Hashem Echad. You know, Shema Yisrael has a snachta. Hashem Ekeinu, Hashem has a vertical line after. Echad is the third concept. There are 3 concepts there. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Ekeinu, Hashem, and Echad. Shema Yisrael is only for Yisrael till Mashiach comes. No one understands this. Only Yisrael. That's why it's a snachta. Hashem Ekeinu, Hashem is one concept. Hashem is Rachamim, Ekeinu Din, Hashem is Rachamim. Even when he punishes you, that's rachamim, because he wants to make you a better person. Just like when the doctor heals you, it hurts a lot, but he's trying to make you better. Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem is Rachamim. Echad, this is one concept. Din and Rachamim. In this world, you say for bad things, Baruch Dynamics, and for good things, Shechiyonim. Also, love you can always make Shechiyonim, because it's all good. But you don't see it now, then it's all good. And another proof that you have to say Shema Yisrael, pause, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem, pause, Echad. You know why? Because that pasuk is written on a mezuzah. If you look at the mezuzah behind the letters Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, exactly on those letters on the backside is the name of three malachim. Kuzu b'muchsus kuzu. So you see that Hashem Elokeinu Hashem is one concept. Right behind those letters in every mezuzah, behind the mezuzah, you take the letters that's after Yud is Chav. Hey is Vav. Hey, Vav, Zayin. Okay. Hey, Vav, Kuzu. B'muchsas Kuzu. Three malachim's names. So you see that Shema Yisrael is one idea. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem is the second idea. And Echad is the third idea. And my father says in the Mayan, this is 6 words. That is mitzvah deraisa of Kriyat Shema. According to some, only you need one pasuk. So since it's deraisa, you're not Yosef unless you pronounce it correctly. So my father's tapes, Rabbi Schwab on prayer, you'll find it in there too, and on the tapes, tape number 14, you'll see, he said, Echad has to be properly pronounced. The Machaber was a Sephardi, he knew how to speak Hebrew. He said you have to be Marich the Dalid. How do you do it? Hashem Echad, Hashem Echad, no. The Dalid in proper Hebrew is pronounced like a TH. Echad. That's right, he says, put your tongue behind your upper teeth. Echad. You asked the Taimani, you had to say David HaMelech. David is Dawid. 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 Vav is not the same as Vez. Vez is like L'chol Levavachem. But Vav is like Emes Weyatziv, Wenachom, Wekayom, Weyasher. Ayin and Aleph is different. Vez and Vez is different. Vez and Vav is different. Gimel and Gimel is different. Dalit and Dalit is different. Vav and Vez, Zayin, Ches and Chaf is different. Shin, Samach and Sin is all different. We don't know how to speak Hebrew, nor do the Sfardim. The only Taimanim know it. How do you know? Because if you listen to Taimani, you have 22 different sounds and for the 22 different letters, but we have only 15 sounds for the 22 different letters. Those Ayin and Aleph is one mess up, and Vez and Vav is another, and Gimel and Gimel is another, and Dalet and Zalet is another, Ches and Chaf is another, and Samach Sin and Samach Sin and Sof. Sof is like when the people came to America, they translated Hebrew correctly. They made a Tov into TH. How do you get the word Beth? Jacob. Beth El. Sabbath. Why not Shabbos? Shabbat. No, because Tov is TH. Sabbath. 250 years ago, they translated English. Here. Sabbath. Emeth. Oh, so you say in Ashkenazi can't change his Masorah? Correct. However, you should know that we have shibush, because you can't pronounce 7 letters different. Because Ayin is not a Aleph, and a Vez is not a Vav, and a Gimel is not a Gimel, and the Dal is not a Dalet, because they have Beged Kefes, Beged Kefes. No, we don't do the Gimel and the Dalet, so somebody's wrong. At least they make, the Taimani, 22 different sounds for 22 different letters. We make 15 sounds for 22 letters. Can't beat that. I mean, hello. It's right or it's wrong. All right, the change of Masorah is another question already, but you should know at least how the Hebrew language works. Next thing. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Shema with the big ayin, and Echad do the big dalet. Ayin dalet, you're the witness. You saw Yitzias Mitzrayim, you saw Matan Torah, you saw Kriyat Yamsuf, you saw all the Makos. And ayin is very big, says the Mayan, because mate should never write it with an aleph. Instead of Shema Shamo, maybe it's not true. Echad, with a big dalet, so it shouldn't be a reisha, it looks like a dalet. Acher. Shem Elokeinu Shem Acher. Chas v'sholom. You make a big ayin, a big dalet. Okay, Rabbi, so that's enough for Vaeschanan. And we are a little pressed for time, so we make it a little shorter. We hope that everybody has a wonderful week. Stay well, and if you want to hear expanded shiur every single day, 45 minutes, on Kol HaLashon, you can listen to me. I have 2,240 shiurim already, every single day of the week. Thank you so much.